Of Fox Sports.
The Royals are in the middle of a stretch of 5 series against first or second place teams. 3 series down, and with a flurry of home runs and improved starting pitching, the Royals are break even. Tonight, the surprise Oakland A's are in town for 3 games, facing Jeremy Guthrie, who's coming off one of the best starts of his career. Royals baseball is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. Royals baseball comes to you from Kauffman Stadium, where the Royals are home from a winning road trip and now begin a homestand against 2 contending teams, beginning with the Oakland A's. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kauffman Stadium with Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. I'm Ryan Lefevre. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Oakland A's, but here they are in the middle of August, still contending. How have they done it, Monty?
Ryan, they are contending essentially because of their young pitching, particularly pitchers like tonight's starter Jared Parker, guys going out and doing a great job for the A's. Their success in the second half here has been based on the starting. Their contention will be determined by the way these young starters pitch.
They traded away Gio Gonzalez, they traded away Trevor Cahill, they traded away Andrew Bailey, and they received good young pitchers in return. And Tommy Milone, Jared Parker, and Ryan Cook have been right in the middle of the A's success in the second half. Well, let's see how the Royals go about scoring runs now that they're back at Kauffman Stadium. On the last road trip, the Royals hit 13 home runs, going 4-3. Kansas City Chevy Dealers, the official vehicle of the Kansas City Royals. By the Missouri Lottery, when you play, students win. When we come back, we'll talk Royals starter Jeremy Guthrie. In one of the best starts of his major league career, what was different?
Well, he's gotten better every time out, Ryan. I think the key for him, he was a first pitch strike machine in his start against the Chicago White Sox. Got ahead of almost every hitter. Another thing he did well was mixed up his pitches. Did a great job in throwing variety at the White Sox. And I really like the fact that he's going to go out there, and when he misses out of the strike zone.
One change for the A's on offense this year compared to the last 2 years. They're hitting home runs. They also lead the league in strikeouts. We'll see what happens tonight. It's the Royals and the A's, and the first pitch is coming up. The official TV, internet, and home phone provider of the Kansas City Royals. And we are greeted by very comfortable and cool weather after a blazing hot July and August. And it was a blazing hot July and August for the Oakland A's. They have an 18-10 record since the All-Star break. They are 24-11 since July 1st. That's best in the major leagues. Not much of a hitting team as far as batting average and runs scored, but they do hit home runs, and a bit of a departure from the Moneyball days. The A's are 5th in the league in stolen bases, so a little different look to that team compared to what we've been used to. We're facing Jeremy Guthrie for the second time this year. Guthrie lost to the A's back on June the 12th when he was pitching for the Rockies.
He's going to be looking to turn things around against the Oakland Athletics tonight, carry on from what he did last Wednesday night in Chicago against the White Sox.
And a look at the Royals defensively behind Guthrie tonight, presented by Ford.
A little mix up in the batting order, but the outfield remains the same. With Lorenzo Cain in center field. You got Hosmer Moustakas on the corners. Getson Escobar up the middle, and Salvador Perez receiving for Guthrie.
Jeremy Guthrie coming off perhaps the best start of his major league career. So will he build on that? We're about to find out. And he's in with strike one against the former Royal Coco Crisp. One ball, one strike. Guthrie struggled the first two times he started for the Royals after the trade from the Rockies, and that wasn't a big surprise. The Royals felt like he might need 2 or 3 starts just to get settled in with a new team. And in those first two, He allowed 11 earned runs and 10 in the third innings and 3 home runs. But now in his last 2, 14 innings pitched, only 3 earned runs, no home runs. And that will come in handy against the A's tonight.
Right, and his numbers were really not good in those first 2 starts, but he threw the ball much better than what his results really were indicative of. So I think he's made progress. I think working with Dave Island, maybe on just some small details in his mechanics and his pitch selection, has really paid dividends for him.
And the thing I've heard about the mechanics is that the Royals feel he needs to hide the ball more, that maybe he was not necessarily tipping his pitches before he went into his motion, but the hitters were picking up his pitches too soon when he was with the Rockies.
And that can always be a concern for a pitcher when you're getting hit around and there's no explanation as to why you're doing it. You're making some seemingly quality pitches, but you're not getting outs.
The ball's hit hard, but right to Chris Getz. Well, temperature was in the mid-90s when we left, and now 72 room temperature. Game started at 7:11 Central Daylight Time. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot at KCI. It almost feels like mid-September than it does mid-August.
Reminds me of the Metrodome. Climate control, 72 degrees. Here we're on the Kauffman Dome.
We'll take it. Jemile Weeks, one of the most impressive rookies in the American League last year. He hit over 300. And now he steps in against Jeremy Guthrie tonight, hitting .220. So he's going through some of the growing pains that somebody like Eric Hosmer is going through in his second full season in the big leagues.
And really coming into the season, Weeks was one of the untouchables on the Oakland A's roster. And I think now there's maybe some concern that they may be looking for someone else to play second base in the future.
2 balls, 1 strike. He was the A's first round pick in 2008. And at this time last year, he was just under 300 at 292. He finished the season at 303. And he pulls it on the ground to Chris Getz, who gets a nice big hop. 2 down. Well, the Royals were hitting home runs on the last road trip. They hit 13. The A's are hitting home runs, so we'll see what the scoring is like in this series. But we can tell you that in the first 6 matchups between the Royals and the A's, there was hardly any scoring at all. In fact, the winning team scored 4 runs or less in 5 of the first 6 meetings. Strike 2, Josh Reddick, whose career high for home runs was 7 coming into this year, and now he has 25. Oh, and 2. Tonight's Toyota League leaders. The wins above replacement category, Josh Reddick is 4th.
And all the sabermetricians will be familiar with that term. If they were to replace Josh Reddick with a player, say, from AAA, the wins above that player's ability is what Josh Reddick is, and that's a baseball reference term. That's where the numbers come from. It's from baseballreference.com. And you would think it would be more like a Hamilton or someone up in the top of the A's, but here's Josh Reddick having a great season for the Oakland A's.
Mike Trout at the top doesn't surprise me.
No surprise at all.
In fact, I think the Angels would just as soon go to war instead of having a replacement for Mike Trout. The way he's turned that team around on offense. The Oakland A's and Bob Melvin in his second season, his first full season as manager of the A's, his team is in front of the Angels. They're 6 games back. The Angels are in 3rd. They're 8 games behind the Texas Rangers. 2 and 2.
Josh Reddick with 25 home runs, 60 RBIs, a guy that is not a real big body type guy. He's got a lot of whip in that bat from left side and finds a way to get the bat head out in front and has done a lot of damage.
3 balls, 2 strikes. And when Guthrie pitched against the A's back on June the 12th, he had problems with the long ball. It was a game that was pitched at Coors Field in Denver. He gave up 7 runs in 5 innings. He allowed 3 home runs to the A's, 2 to Brandon Moss and 1 to Cliff Pennington, and they're both in the lineup tonight. A changeup gets him his first strikeout, and Guthrie gets the A's in order in the first. They're off to a good start in August. They're 7-5 with improved starting pitching and a whole bunch of home runs. The Royals have gotten themselves out of the basement in that category in the American League. They are 13th overall, but 3rd in the month of August. Let's go down to our home run hitter. Here's Joe Goldberg.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm out here in home run territory. And Ryan, you're right. Going into that last road trip, the Royals were last in the American League in home runs. But for the 6 days they were on the road for that trip, they had 13 homers, most in the American League. Interesting that the team that was second in that stretch, Baltimore. Baltimore played all 6 of their games last week at Camden Yards. The Royals played 3 at Camden Yards, 3 at another hitter-friendly park, U.S. Cellular Field. That right there might be the big answer, the most important answer to the recent power surge. Ryan?
Yeah, there's no shame in that. I mean, it's just the truth. It's easier to hit home runs in Chicago and in Baltimore. And just looking at the numbers here at Kauffman Stadium and getting re-familiar with the dimensions, and look at the gaps. 387 to left center field here. 364 at Camden Yards. 387 to right center. 373 in Baltimore.
Right, and 96 home runs here in Kauffman Stadium. So it's a good reason why the differential. And if you ask any one of these hitters, they're going to tell you, I'm going to take the same approach regardless of what the dimensions are. I have to stay inside my game.
2-2 on Alex. He had 3 home runs during the road trip, all those in the Baltimore series. Still leading the American League with 38 doubles. So his home runs are down, his doubles are up. And again, that might just get back to the ballpark. Facing for the first time, right-hander Jared Parker.
Well, Jared Parker, 23-year-old rookie, making his 20th start of the season. He was a former #1 pick of the Arizona Diamondbacks, so came over in a Cahill trade with the Diamondbacks. Has thrown the ball really well for the Oakland Athletics. You'll see him throw a changeup to both right-handers and left-handers as his out pitch. He has a good slider, fastballs in the mid-90s.
He is 23 years old, originally out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, where he was a Chicago White Sox fan. And boy, it seems like year after year the A's will make a trade for a a good veteran pitcher, and you think, what are they doing? But they sure know how to identify young pitching in return. And here they went out and they traded away Gio Gonzalez, Trevor Cahill. A few years ago it was Dan Herron. And they just continue to roll along on the mound. Now Parker stumbled a little bit in the second half as the league is starting to figure him out. He was quite a sensation in the first half with an ERA under 3, and now his earned run average is over 5 since the All-Star break. Long run for Cespedes, but he's there in foul territory. In fact, he almost overran it. So Alex is out, 1 away, and now the rest of the Oakland A's defensively brought to you by Ford.
Well, if you look at 3 outfielders, Cespedes, Crisp, the former Royal, and Josh Reddick, those 3 are really responsible for a lot of the A's success they've had during the second half this season. Josh Donaldson in at third base for the injured Brandon Inge.
Did you see that injury the other night in Chicago, Brandon Inge?
I did. That was very unusual.
Oof. Give yourself about an hour after you've had dinner, and then you might want to look it up on the internet. But Brandon Inge, who's as tough as they come, whether he's playing well or poorly, went diving for a ball in Chicago, dislocated his right arm, his right shoulder, and popped it back in himself on the field, finished the game, and ended up with a big RBI late. Escobar takes an aggressive turn around first. Cespedes goes down in left field. So Escobar gets his 24th double, and the Royals have a runner at second with 1 out.
Little chance for Royals to get things going here. 1 out in the bottom of the first inning. Taking advantage of the shot down the left field foul line here. Trying to put on the brakes. Oops. Trevor Vance will have to have a conversation with Yoenis Cespedes about that turf mark he left in left field.
Right. Make sure you repair your divots. That doesn't just apply on the golf course. Billy Butler, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 7 runs scored while the Royals were in Chicago and Baltimore. And the Royals have a chance to score here in the first inning, and that's really been a trademark of their success on offense since August. The Royals have outscored their opponents 15-2 in the first inning in August. That's the best in the American League. Oh, 0-2.
Take a look at Billy Butler on his home versus road splits. As you can see, the power numbers, as you would expect, double the home runs on the road, but average right there. Steady Billy.
One ball, 2 strikes. And Billy evens the count at 2-2. The A's are second in the league in ERA. Some of that has to do with their ballpark, and the Coliseum in Oakland is a great place to pitch, especially at night. And so that's one advantage they have year after year. They have allowed the second fewest home runs in the American League as Billy pulls it on the ground to Donaldson. And Donaldson, thinking that Escobar might leave, with a little pump fake, and that got Alcides to commit to third base. And the A's retire him in between second and third.
Tough break for the Royals here on the ground ball from Billy Butler down to Josh Donaldson. You mentioned a little pump fake, and Alcides Escobar bent for it. Didn't take Donaldson long to figure that out. Unfortunately, Billy Butler unable to advance to second base and get in scoring position. Ideally, in a rundown, the situation like this, you want to be in a rundown long enough and going away from the base so that you're trailing base runner can get back into the position you left.
Mike Moustakas hits it high in the air to right field. If it comes down, Reddick is there, and the inning is over. So Parker works around the 1-out double. No score at the end of one. It's a Buck Night and Fireworks Friday. Hot dogs, peanuts, and soft drinks are just $1. And then after the game, Friday Night Fireworks presented by Hy-Vee and Pepsi. Go to Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. Alcides Escobar with a 1-out double in the first inning, but caught in a rundown. That turned the inning around, and Royals were scoreless. Good start for Jeremy Guthrie in the top of the first. He got the A's in order, finished the inning with a strikeout, and now Yoenis Cespedes, Chris Carter, and Brandon Moss. Broke his bat. And Moustakas wants it. He's got it. 2 pitches, 1 down.
Got to like the way Jeremy Guthrie has come out of the gate here, throwing strikes, challenging hitters. Almost sense an air of confidence around him after his outing that he had in Chicago last week.
I don't remember him with the Orioles or even his first couple starts with the Royals being a slow worker, but I thought in Chicago it really stood out how fast he was working.
I like how he's the first guy on the field between innings. After the last out's made, he sprints onto the pitcher's mound, first guy out there ready to go.
Jumps ahead of Chris Carter, who has taken over at first base for the A's. Last time we saw Oakland, former Royal Kila Kaihue was hitting the bulk of the starting time at first base. He's back in the minor leagues. Carter is cut from the Moneyball cloth, if you will. Big time power, very high on base percentage. Three and one. Drafted by the White Sox. He was part of a couple of big trades. He went from Chicago to Arizona, and the White Sox got Carlos Quentin in that deal. Quentin had some really good years with Chicago, and he'll walk with 1 out. And then from Arizona to Oakland in the deal for Dan Herron.
Right, we're talking about Jeremy Guthrie being the first one out between innings on the mound. We're going to take a look here. His pregame routine. He's not just walking out to the bullpen. Most pitchers walk out. He jogs out to the bullpen. And between innings, here he goes. First guy out on the field.
And now Brandon Moss takes inside. Moss hit 2 home runs off of Guthrie back on June 12th when the A's beat the Rockies. He hit 7 home runs, Moss did, in his first 13 games with the A's. A combination of Moss and Chris Carter knocking Kila Kaihue back to the minor leagues.
And Moss has not been swinging the bat real well as of late, but with his 2 for 3 with 2 home runs against Jeremy Guthrie in there tonight.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Let's go back to June 12th at Coors Field.
Well, that had something in common with a lot of balls that are hit. Yeah, right in the middle, hanging curveball in the middle of the plate in that ballpark. Hard to keep him in.
I remember that home run. Guthrie comes back and strikes him out. This time around, that's 2 strikeouts for him. I remember seeing that highlight, and I completely forgot that it was Brandon Moss and it was Jeremy Guthrie. But seeing that ball go into the 3rd deck at Coors Field, and then the second home run went into the 2nd deck.
And Guthrie not going to mess around with that breaking ball against Moss this time around. Going with the fastball.
So 2 down, Carter at first. And here's George Kataris going from the Brewers to the A's in a trade in early August. We saw Kataris with Milwaukee when they were here, and the Royals swept the Brewers in a 3-game series. Oh, and 2. Surprising move by Oakland. Looked like they were trying to acquire players, in particular a shortstop around the trading deadline, but what they ended up doing was trading away Kurt Suzuki. Been their regular catcher for a long time. He's now with the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, and he had been a leader for their team. A real surprise when they did let him go. Former Royal Bob Melvin. A lot of people don't remember his days as a Royal, but had a chance to play with Bob Melvin here. Always felt like he was manager material, and here he is now managing in his 2nd term.
Kane jogs in from center field. That's the inning. So going back to his last start, Jeremy Guthrie has pitched 10 scoreless innings. At Washburn University, recently selected as a Folds of Honor scholarship recipient for the first time, currently majoring in business finance and also plays on the Washburn men's basketball team, and tonight sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seats. Salvador Perez takes ball one. 3 home runs, 5 RBIs on the trip for Sal. He is batting at .313. 2 balls and no strikes. Royals have hit a home run in 8 consecutive games. And they have a total of 15 home runs in those 8 games. That was certainly a category that was missing in the first half.
It really was, and it makes a huge difference, especially you get them early in the ball game, score some runs early. Billy, Alex, guys doing a great job on helping supply some power early in the ball game.
2-2. Don't normally see Sal go after a pitch like that in a hitter's count. Parker throwing him a hard slider. And strikes him out. That's Parker's first, 1 down in the second.
Parker, a little unusual. He will throw his changeup to righties, but here you see the slider really kind of bottoms out against Salvador Perez for the strikeout.
Right, Coors after the first pitch. Reddick to the line in right field, over the line for a foul ball catch. 2 down. And now Eric Hosmer, glad to be home after a tough road trip where he went just 3 for 23. Eric, you remember last year here at Kauffman Stadium, made his major league debut against the Oakland A's. Everybody was waiting to see an impressive Eric Hosmer home run after hearing about him in the minor leagues, but we'll always remember that Eric Hosmer was part of a double play and stole a base before he got his first major league hit.
Didn't he walk twice in that game?
Out in front, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
There's a changeup from Parker. Parker really developed a changeup after his Tommy John surgery, because before his Tommy John surgery, the slider was his out pitch, and now that changeup's really become a great pitch for him.
Hit hard, but right at Weeks, who didn't have to move. So Hosmer's out. So are the Royals. Members of Sporting Kansas City are here at the game tonight. Joe Goldberg will join them.
Stadium, and we've got some serious hardware down here in the first base dugout suite, and joined right now by Teal Bunbury of the now championship team, the U.S. Open champions of Sporting KC. And you guys get a chance to come hang out here tonight, show off the trophy a little bit. How cool is it bringing this thing around town?
Oh, it's great. I wish I could take it everywhere with me, but this is just one stop on the way, so we're having a good time here, with the whole crew.
I would think that that trophy draws a little bit of attention, and of course I know how popular you guys are in Kansas City. What did it mean to be able to win this and to be able to do it right here in Kansas City too?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, we all support each other, and I feel like the fans in Kansas City deserve something like this, and we're really proud. And what makes it better is that just the fans enjoy it and that they can embrace it and be a part of it.
I saw all the tweets. We were on the road with the Royals and all the excitement. And what was the atmosphere like, and to finally be able to win that one? I know a long game too.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to really put into words how exciting it was and how much fun it really was, but it was a special moment for every one of us, and we're really going to cherish it for the rest of our lives.
Now, I got to ask how a Canadian kid who's in the States playing soccer did throwing out the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game.
I thought I did all right. I had to put a little more juice on it, but, I did a lot of stretching before, a little, warm-up throws on the weekend, so I feel like it went all right.
We see the base hit get through in between Hosmer and gets to lead off the inning. Any baseball as a kid playing up in Canada at all?
No, I really didn't play any baseball. What I did play was the home run derby on my computer. I used to play that nonstop. Ken Griffey Jr. was my guy. So, that was the extent of my baseball career.
I'm curious if there were any nerves throwing out that first pitch, too. You're throwing it to your teammate. You know that all the rest of your teammates are going to be watching and criticizing every single one of your moves, but then again, you just played in and have played in so many huge soccer games.
Yeah, I mean, not really nerves. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't one of those guys that bounced it like 50 feet before it actually got to him. So I was just concentrating that I'd throw it and he'd catch it.
The rule is always, whatever you do, it could be wide, it could be high, just don't bounce it.
Exactly. So I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad Kai didn't do that either.
I was looking, and you went to Shattuck St. Mary's, which is a school in Minnesota, high school in Minnesota that is really known for hockey. Guys like Sidney Crosby and players all across the NHL. So what was it like being at that hockey school in Minnesota, Canadian kid, perfecting your craft in soccer?
Oh, it was great. I mean, obviously Shattuck is known for its hockey, but really the soccer really took off there and really grew, as a sport there. And just being around all those, famous guys and coaches with the hockey aspect, it also translated over to soccer, so it was great.
So now here you are playing for Sporting KC. You have this hardware, but still so much more to go this season. Tell me about the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited about this, but we still have 10 games left in the regular season and, a couple more trophies out there that we can win, and that's what we're setting our sights on right now.
I heard, Chance was behind the plate for you, but he was on our pregame show with Nate Bucati, who is the biggest soccer fan on our crew and in our group. He's in the truck right now. And, he was talking and asking about baseball and asking about soccer, and Chance said, baseball a little too slow for me. I guess these guys maybe don't run enough?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have mad respect for the guys who can hit the ball, 400 and something feet. But maybe it's a little slower pace for me. But, I guess I grew up playing soccer, and that's all I really played. So for these guys, when they're watching soccer, they're like, whoa, what are they doing probably?
Yeah, it's. I think you guys all have respect for each other. That's the bottom line as professional athletes. Hey, have a great time here tonight. Congratulations on the U.S. Open Championship, and best of success the rest of the year.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, let's go back upstairs to you. This hardware is pretty cool down here, I got to tell you.
All right, thank you, Joel. I have not been yet. Have you been to?
I unfortunately have not made it myself. I know my son went to that championship game, and he never got home till after midnight. I'm wondering what's going on, but I learned the game was over 4 hours long.
And up on the big board here before the game started, they showed the celebration after the penalty kick sailed high over the goal, and not just on the field, but you could really tell that the fans have embraced this team, and almost as if they were living and dying with every moment, just like the players were. Pennington slides to left. Sorry about that.
I think one thing that'd be hard would be to win a championship like that and then still have to go play more games.
Yeah. 1 on, 1 out. Members of Sporting KC down in the first base dugout suite. Coco Crisp batting for the second time. Grounded out sharply to second base, first time up. Coco played with the Royals in 2009, but didn't play for very long. He injured his shoulder and had to go on the disabled list. Ended up having surgery on that shoulder, and while he was out, he had surgery on the other shoulder.
Well, he's been a player that doesn't have sparkling numbers, but a player that's really added a lot to this Oakland A's team this year, and really all three of their outfielders have played spectacular.
And he gets this one by Chris Getz. And rounding second and stumbling is Donaldson. Now the Royals have him hung up. And Donaldson is tagged out.
Well, Coco Crisp serves a little liner to right field. Jeff Van Crook comes up throwing. Donaldson maybe gets caught up a little bit in between steps, and unfortunately now he's caught between third base and second base, and Mike Moustakas makes a tag.
That's an embarrassing and frustrating play no matter how you look at it, but Donaldson was just called back up today when Brandon Inge went on the disabled list. So that's hardly the first impression he wants to make since his recall. Royals get another outfield assist, and for Jeff Francoeur, that ties him for the league lead with 13, tying him with the A's right fielder Josh Reddick. And now Weeks grounds it to Hosmer, and that's the end of the inning. 2 hits, no runs, a big out on the bases to the bottom of the third, no score. Weiser patio. Tickets are just $3. That gets you in the door. 2 beverage vouchers, a private DJ, plus seating, and much more. So come out and enjoy this unique atmosphere in an exclusive outdoor lounge. Royals.com/NightlifeKC for tickets. So the next night is the day after tomorrow. Tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night with the A's. And Chicago rise for a 3-game series on Friday night. 1-1 on Lorenzo Cain. Lorenzo is just 2 out of 20 on the trip and moves moves down to the number 8 position in the batting order, but some of that has to do with the makeup of the Oakland A's bullpen.
That's right, Ryan. With 4 lefties in that bullpen, Ned Yost did not want to have a lot of left-handed hitters bunched up at the bottom part of the lineup, so giving Lorenzo Cain an opportunity to bat down in the lower slot.
Second strikeout for Parker.
Parker does a nice job locating the fastball away. We've got a little call from home plate umpire Paul Nart, but consistent.
And a strike to Chris Getz, who's batting at .281. And it's right about what he hit on the trip through Chicago and Baltimore, .286 to be exact. But the last time the Royals were at home, we learned after the game, the final game of that homestand, that the Royals had designated Yuniesky Betancourt for assignment. And now they can get a good long look at Chris Getz for the remaining games of the second half. And when he's been making outs, he's been doing that, still hitting it hard. 2 up, 2 down for Parker, and now he's gotten outs against the last 7 Royals. And the league's had a tough time adjusting to him. Second time through the batting order. Third time up to .289, so adding 100 points to the opponent's batting average. Second time through the order, third time through, and now Alex Gordon begins the second time through the order, and he fouled out to left field in the first inning. It was a 9-pitch at bat. The Royals are facing Parker for the first time, and Alex got to look at 9 pitches his first time up. Jemile Weeks fumbled for a moment, but throws out Alex, and the Royals are brushed aside on 10 pitches. At the end of 3, no score. Consecutive scoreless innings. He has given up 2 singles and a walk. He has struck out Josh Reddick, who will lead off in the 4th, and also punched out Brandon Moss. as Reddick has hit all those home runs, 25. He also has 21 doubles. The league is trying to figure out new ways to get him out, and they're starting to catch up to him. Reddick is 0 for his last 8, and he has just 9 hits in his last 64 at bats. Two hops to Hosmer. Over to Guthrie. 1 away. Also coming up on Thursday, it'll be our next Frenchie Quarter. $21 gets you a seat in Jeff Francoeur's right field cheering section. Also a limited edition Frenchie Quarter t-shirt and Mardi Gras beads. And you can get your tickets right now at royals.com/Frenchie. And there's the section there, just beneath Rivals in right field. Pretty empty tonight, but hopefully that will be packed with yellow t-shirts on Thursday night for the Royals and the A's. Ball 1 to Yoenis Cespedes.
Jeff Francoeur missed a couple of games where he was not in the lineup during Frenchie Quarter Thursday evening. Hope to see him out there this week.
And with the A's in town, it immediately reminds me of how popular he is in Oakland. That cheering section that's normally heckling the opposing players in right. Jeff Francoeur has had some fun with them over the years and helping them finance one of their group breakfasts. That's before day games of the Coliseum. What is it, like Bacon Thursday or something like that?
Yes.
Bacon Tuesday. 3-1. And I think what happened was, didn't Jeff got a ball and he taped what, $100 bill or something like that?
And threw it up to one of the fans in that section.
Said, "Have some bacon on me." And so after the game was over, that group got together around the Royals dugout, and Jeff came out and signed autographs. Cespedes is 0 for 2, 2 down in the 4th inning.
And now Josh Reddick is really trying to outdo Jeff Francoeur. He sent 100 pounds of bacon out to that section.
Pounds of bacon?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Good for the heart surgeons.
Yeah. Strike to Carter. 100 pounds of bacon.
And it was cooked as well.
Okay. Oof. Carter added to his high on base percentage with a walk first time up. So that on base percentage is now over 400. Is a much different Chris Carter from the one we saw a couple of years ago when he had just been called up to the big leagues. And he started his major league career by going 0 for 33. And part of that was against the Royals.
He's always been a player that can hit the ball a long way, but discipline at the plate is always going to be an issue for him.
His 3rd strikeout, and now 4 scoreless innings for Guthrie against the A's. Baseball is brought to you by your Midwest Ford dealer. By AT, the world's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Billy Butler is the subject of our Sprint You Call It question for tonight. 4 home runs for Billy during the road trip, giving him 24 on the year, which is 3 more than his previous career high. He will bat second in the inning after Alcides Escobar. So Escobar, Butler, and Moustakas. Over the mound, over the bag. It's flattened out when they hit the lip of the grass. And Escobar is 2 for 2. You know, Monty, there's been a debate about whether Alcides Escobar is bunting too much. Now, this is his double. First time up. I don't think the third baseman plays in like Donaldson does if the league didn't know about his bunting.
Right, they got to protect against the bunt. As a result, Donaldson's in very short, in on the cut. As a result, Alcides Escobar has a double to lead off in the first inning, in his first at bat. So
if Donaldson is playing back like he is right now, that's just a routine ground ball to third.
Right, pays a little benefits for him.
Donaldson is not concerned about Billy Butler dropping down a bunt. Billy grounded into a force out in the first inning on a heads-up play by Donaldson, assuming that Escobar was going to try and go second to third on his throw to first. Donaldson faked a throw. Escobar took a couple of steps off the second, and the A's got him in a rundown. One and one. Well, with all the home runs the Royals have been hitting, they've also ramped up their running game. In their last 12 games, the Royals have 21 stolen bases, and Alcides Escobar second on the team with 20. And Parker isn't real fast to the plate. Billy grounds it up the middle. Pennington's got it, and the A's turn that into a double play.
Parker got exactly the pitch he wanted on Billy Butler. The A's have not turned a lot of double plays on the year, but here with Billy Butler, they're able to make a fairly easy 6-4-3.
Mike Moustakas flied to right in the first inning. He had a tough road trip as far as batting average goes. He had 186, but he hit 2 home runs, including a home run in the game on Sunday in Baltimore. Second to Billy Butler with 18 this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. One and 2. Foul ball. If you watch Hy-Vee Royals live, you know that it's Twitter Tuesday, and Joel will be joining us later during the broadcast to answer some of your questions by way of Twitter at FS Kansas City. And Moustakas strikes out, so that's 3 for Parker, and he's matched Jeremy Guthrie with 4 scoreless innings tonight. last start.
Well, he looks very strong tonight, Ryan, as he did last Wednesday night in Chicago against the White Sox. Seems like a totally different pitcher than what we saw in his first outing here as a Royal after coming over from the Rockies.
And only one walk over those 12 innings. Tonight he's allowed just a couple of singles and that walk. Brandon Moss, who homered twice against Guthrie earlier this year when Jeremy was pitching for the Rockies, he leads off. He struck out in the second inning. Guthrie got him swinging, and now down in the count 0-1.
Guthrie's done a really nice job on counting that fastball. That's what I've noticed. He's used his fastball much more effectively in his last couple of starts, and that's a pitch that, unless you really leave it in the middle of the plate, you're not going to get hit nearly as hard as if you make a mistake with a breaking ball.
Pitching him inside, 2-1. Good fastball. Good life to that fastball. They got some late zip to it, riding away from Moss. And we showed you the replay of the 2 home runs that Moss hit against Guthrie. Both were on breaking balls. So a mental note was made, and now he's coming at him with hard stuff, and 95 miles an hour puts him away, and Guthrie has struck out 4.
He's certainly made the adjustment against Moss here. Climbs the ladder a little bit with the fastball up in the strike zone at 95 miles an hour. Moss no chance to get to that pitch.
Pretty good heat tonight from Parker and Guthrie. You can get downloads up to 50 megabits per second with Time Warner Cable Ultimate Internet. I can remember when Guthrie was with the Indians, and even when he went to the Orioles, where his fastball was 96, 97, 98. But he was hit with that label of thrower. Why don't you explain? I mean, you're out there throwing a baseball, but what's a scout saying when they label somebody as a thrower?
Well, on the other hand, you'll hear a guy's term as they have good pitchability, and when you have the ability to make pitches and get the most out of your stuff, that's when you really become a pitcher. A lot of times guys that have a good fastball get a little fastball happy, and they get hurt because of their inability to pitch effectively using all of their tools.
I mean, that's pitching right there at the knees over the outside corner.
Good late life on the fastball, and forget about the radar gun. It's that life that he has at the end that really makes that pitch effective.
How about that pitch? 95 with some teeth. 5 strikeouts for Guthrie and 3 strikeouts in a row going back to the last inning.
You see the bite on this pitch. It almost looks like a changeup, but it has fastball velocity. So it has that sinking, that moving away action against a left-handed batter. And certainly what a right-handed pitcher is looking to do.
Below the knees, ball 1 to Josh Donaldson. He singled in the 3rd inning, and with 1 out, Crisp singled. Donaldson stumbled, rounding second base, and the Royals caught him in a rundown. 2 balls and no strikes. The A's have been looking for a solution at third base since the early parts of spring training. Scott Sizemore was going to be their regular third baseman, but he blew out his knee in the first week of spring training. So they've used Donaldson. They acquired Brandon Inge after he was released by the Tigers. Meanwhile, a former A's All-Star, Eric Chavez, is thriving with the Yankees after Alex Rodriguez went down with an injury. Second walk given up by Guthrie. Time for tonight's AT&T trivia question. Let's see what Al Broughton has for us tonight. Who are the 2 Royals to hit the most home runs in a season at Kauffman Stadium? Two Royals have hit 21 home runs in a season at Kauffman Stadium. Pennington goes the other way. Alex fades back. He makes the play. Pennington has flied to left twice and make it 5 scoreless innings for Guthrie. Well, good pitching tonight. The A's have been pitching well. Jeremy Guthrie so far has built on his last start against the Chicago White Sox. 8 scoreless innings that night, 5 scoreless innings tonight.
Well, it's looked almost really like the same pitcher tonight, Ryan, as we saw in Chicago last week. So good things for him, good things for the Royals.
And the Royals and A's, this is a typical game for them this year. This is game number 7 between the two. The A's won a game here at Kauffman Stadium in June, 9-3. Other than that, the winning team in the other 5 games hasn't scored more than 4 runs. Salvador Perez struck out in the 2nd inning against Parker. Parker has struck out 3 without a walk. And now behind 3 balls and 1 strike. Perez, Francoeur, and Hosmer coming up. And a leadoff walk. That's Parker's first. Well, they really didn't give us much time to figure out this trivia question. Now I'm going to guess an in the house. Chili Davis is here. He had a 30 home run season with the Royals. He's the hitting coach for the A's.
I think of a couple guys I played with. Danny Tartable, and one that's going to surprise you, Gary Gaetti had a bunch of home runs one year here.
Okay. Oh, 0-1 on Jeff Francoeur. There's Chili Davis. I'm told that Danny Tartable nor Gary Gaetti is one of the 2 Royals with 21 home runs at Kauffman Stadium. But one of them played with you. Francoeur to the gap in right center. Perez will be held up at 3rd, and the Royals have 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out.
Not 21 home runs, but number 21 here with the gap shot to right center field. No outs. 2 men in scoring position now, just what the doctor ordered.
Well, here's an opportunity for Eric Hosmer. If he gets a base hit, he can drive in 2, but he also has the ability to drive in a run by making it out.
Yeah, this should be a very comfortable situation to hit in. You have to be relaxed, let the ball get to you, and not trying to do too much. And that's really, I think, going to be the key for Eric Hosmer, turning things around. But this situation is perfect for him right now.
Had a good swing when he batted in the second inning and hit a hard ground ball to the second baseman Weeks. And the infield is back for the A's. And it's blocked by Gutierrez. 2 balls and no strikes. First time tonight the Royals have had a runner at third base, and only the second time they've had a runner at second base. Seen just a total of 5 hits in the game. And Hosmer lays off a pitch that was fading down and away. 3 balls and no strikes.
Well, you can tell Parker is not going to give in, regardless of Eric Hosmer's struggles during the season. Parker showing respect for him with the base opener first.
Hosmer with just 1 RBI in his last 10 games. And not the kind of swing he was looking for on 3-0, but Parker wasn't taking anything for granted. He went with a changeup on 3-0.
Yeah, it's so easy as a pitcher to fall in that trap where you got 3-0 you think you're going to be taking. I'm sure that's what Eric Hosmer is thinking. He's going to give me a cookie here and I'll try to drive one, but he throws a changeup.
Perez walked and Francoeur doubled to right center. Drilled to right field, and on a short hop, Reddick almost had it skip by him, so Hosmer does drive in a run. He does it with a hit. Perez scores and the Royals lead 1-0.
After getting pulled on the 3-0 pitch, Eric Hosmer gets another breaking ball down the strike zone and stays back much better. Delivers an RBI single to right. Did a much better job staying back on time and really letting the bat head get it out and hit the ball in front.
Now the Royals are positioned for a big inning, 1st and 3rd. Nobody out. And Lorenzo Cain, who struck out looking in the 3rd inning. Parker given the chance to catch his breath after a visit from pitching coach Curt Young. Low ball 1. Last time Lorenzo Cain faced the A's, he made that great catch in center field, a long running catch, and he tweaked his left groin, and boy, we had no idea how long he was going to be out. Pulled groin leading to a torn left hip flexor, and that was the end of the first half for Lorenzo Cain, and that was in early April, and didn't get back till after the All-Star break. Two and 0.
And that was really a shame because Lorenzo Cain had such a good spring training. He didn't start the season out swinging at bat nearly as well as he did in spring training. We saw glimpses of defense and we knew it was going to be there, so it would have been really nice for him to have the opportunity to get things going early in the year. But since his return, he's swung the bat really well, and hopefully he can continue to do that. I think his defense is going to be really an asset to this team. Covers a lot of ground in the outfield.
Three balls, no strikes. That's the second straight hitter that Parker has fallen behind 3-0. He went with a changeup on 3-0 to Hosmer, and Hosmer took a bad swing and missed. Cain looked like he was taking all the way. Made that decision before the pitch was thrown, and it's 3-1.
A little surprised that Eric Hosmer had the green light on a 3-0 count, but when you're struggling, sometimes a 3-0 pitch, you think you're going to get a great pitch to drive. Unfortunately, Hosmer did not, but he still comes through on the next pitch with a base hit.
Parker thinking that Hosmer might take off on the 3-1 pitch. Eric has stolen 11. That's as many stolen bases as Hosmer had last year. He is not running, and Kane fouls it away. Francoeur at third, he doubled. Hosmer at first, his single drove in Salvador Perez. So Parker went 4 innings without a walk. Now he's walked 2 in the 5th. And they're loaded up with nobody out.
Well, Parker's got his back against the wall here. Nobody warming up in the Oakland A's bullpen. Going to turn the lineup over after Chris Getz bats here.
Getz hit a sharp ground ball to first when he batted in the 3rd inning. And a curveball is low, 1 ball and no strikes. Now we haven't seen much of Parker, but he's pitching like a breaking ball pitcher, as if he doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in his fastball.
Yeah, I agree. This situation, number 9 hitter at the plate, you want to get ahead, you want to throw a fastball, you're going to have to create some contact.
And there's a changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, that's a good sign that he is not confident in his fastball right now.
Jordan Norberto, he's just playing catch. So he's not ready to come into the game yet. And it's in the dirt, and again off speed. So 2 balls and 1 strike.
You want to throw your best pitch here, but in this situation, regardless if your fastball is your best pitch, you have to get ahead. You have to find a way to create some contact here, because the hitter is not going to swing your off-speed stuff when they're ahead in the count.
Yeah, it's almost hit on the knee. And it's 3-1. So 3 straight hitters now. Parker has fallen behind, either 3 balls and no strikes or 3-1. He did not have 1 single 3-ball count in the first 4 innings. And Getz thought about it. He went. Paul Nart, the home plate umpire, saying that Getz went too far, and now 3-2.
Well, it's questionable, but umpires rule.
Might have been ball 4, but too close to take. Parker got himself out of the 4th inning, getting Billy Butler to ground into a double play, and now trying to get something down to Getz, get him to hit it on the ground. In the air to right field, that'll get a run home. How many Royals will tag? Francoeur tags. Hosmer tags. It's 2-0. Chris Getz drives in his 16th.
Chris Getz shows a little pop here, hits this ball nearly to the warning track. Reddick with a nice arm, but the ball that deep, Francoeur scores easily.
now that Alex Gordon steps in, Norberto, he slows down in the A's bullpen, and now they've got a righty up. Alex hits it foul off the end of the bat. Pat Neshek, former Minnesota Twin. He's warming up in a hurry. So if Alex does something here, it appears that Bob Melvin is set to bring in Neshek to face Escobar. One and one. Alex is fouled to left, grounded out to second base. 2 walks, a double, a single, and a sac fly, and the Royals have scored the game's first 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th. One and two. Alex coming off a 3 home run series against Baltimore.
Yeah, likes hitting in Baltimore. Going the other way, even take advantage of that short porch.
Alex breaks his bat, and it's under Carter's glove and into right field. So Hosmer scores, Kane goes to third, and it's a 3-run 5th inning.
Not sure how difficult this play was with the bat flying out there, but certainly Alex had one explode. Tough play for Carter. Results in an RBI single for Alex.
And Bob Melvin will leave Parker in there to face Escobar, even though Escobar is 2 for 2 so far tonight. This will be Parker's 30th pitch of the inning. After a relatively easy first 4. There's a ground ball he's been waiting for, and it's up Weeks' arm and into shallow center field. Alex to third, and he is safe. Another run scores, and the Royals lead 4-0.
Weeks stays back and lets this ball really play him a little bit. He's had his struggles defensively at second base. Another example of why.
That'll be scored a fielder's choice and an error on Weeks. Boy, that happens so many times. You have a couple of walks in an inning, the defense is just back on their heels, and then you expect a play to be made, and they're just not into it.
And that was exactly how Weeks tried to play that. He was back on his heels trying to make the play.
So this is all bonus time for the Royals. The A's feel like they should be out of the inning. So instead of a 3-0 Royals lead and the A's batting in the 6th, it's 4-0 Royals, and first and third for Billy Butler. And Billy pounds it to deep center field. Crisp is there. That's the second out. Another sacrifice fly in the inning, and it is a 5-run 5th as Billy Butler drives in his 74th of the year.
Parker gets this ball up. Very lucky that Billy Butler didn't drive this ball out of the ballpark. Hit it really well. Ball up in the strike zone. Got the bat head out. Hit it to the deepest part. Coco Crisp able to reel it in.
And now Mike Moustakas coming up. So Bob Melvin brings in the lefty and a Chevy call to the bullpen. Jordan Norberto. Royals with a 5-0 lead as they continue to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning. 2 walks, a big error committed by the A's. A couple of sacrifice flies. Eric Hosmer, Chris Getz, Alex Gordon, Alcides Escobar, Billy Butler have all driven in runs, and now Mike Moustakas is the 9th man to bat in the inning. He has Escobar at first, 2 down, and facing Jordan Norberto for the first time.
Norberto is the lefty that the A's will go to for any length out of their bullpen. He's the guy that low to mid 90s fastball, got a good breaking ball.
And he has what they call a reverse split. Whereas he should be better against left-hand hitters, he's actually much better against righties. Two balls and 1 strike. All of this started with a leadoff walk, and it was Jared Parker's first after 4 impressive innings to begin the game. But Perez walked, Francoeur doubled, Hosmer singled, Kane walked, Getz a sac fly, Gordon singled, Escobar reached on a fielder's choice and an error, and then Butler with a sacrifice fly. It's pulled foul, 2-2.
Roberto was on the disabled list May 31st to June 21st of this season with a sprained left shoulder, so he hasn't been healthy all season.
And a full count, and now Escobar will be running with the next pitch. In addition to the error, you can also look back at Alex Gordon's single to right field on a play that should have been made, and that's why many times fielding percentage can be a deceiving statistic. That's just based on errors, but then there are plays that should have been made, and Alex hit a ground ball that got under Chris Carter's glove. That's a play that Eric Hosmer makes. So really there have been 2 or 3 outs out there that the A's should have gotten for Jared Parker. Escobar runs again. Moustakas swung, and he does not agree with Paul Nart. Thought he had stopped his swing in time. So Moustakas is upset. The Royals are thrilled. They scored 5 to take a big lead. the box office, you'll get a $7 ticket. And make sure to get here early for live local music and drink specials in the outfield experience before the game. Royals.com/student night for tickets. Will Smith will make the start for the Royals tomorrow. Dan Straley, one of the A's rookies, will go up against Will Smith. Tomorrow's game is at 7:10. So Jeremy Guthrie, who has now pitched 13 consecutive scoreless innings going back to his last start, has a 5-run lead to work with. And he's facing the A's third time through the order. Coco Crisp, Jamiel Weeks, and Josh Reddick. Is foul off to the first base side, and Guthrie has gotten Crisp to roll over to the right side twice, one for an out and one for a base hit to right. The A's have just 2 singles against Guthrie, and now Jeremy has retired 7 of the last 8 A's, and he hasn't thrown more than 16 pitches in an inning.
He has been very efficient. You can tell that he really trusts his stuff, the way things are going for him.
And now routine to Kane in center field. There is one down in the 6th. Let's go to Joel.
Twitter Tuesday, so let's get rolling with him, and we'll start with Keith Engelmeyer, and he asks this question, and we'll just throw this one over to Monty. Which adjustment is easier, a starter going to the bullpen or a bullpen pitcher switching to be a starter?
I would think a bullpen pitcher switching to be a starter would be a lot more complicated because, one, you're going to have the variety, the ability to throw more pitches. 2, you got to work up to have the pitch count where you can go more than just 3 or 4 innings.
Interesting, that shot there involved 3 guys that have either made the switch or have been talked about in making the switch. Jeffers has done both this year in the minor leagues. Tiefert has done both at both levels, and everybody talking about Aaron Crow, who they may give a shot at the rotation again next year. But Monty, that's something you're more likely to do in the offseason, not, or in spring training, not in the middle of the season? That's
right. It's something you have to really work on. You have to build that up in order to be able to, again, stretch yourself out to go more than just 3 or 4 innings.
And a shot past Guthrie and Escobar. Jamiel Weeks, who committed a big error in the Royals' 5-run 5th. He is 1 for 3.
Ryan, I'm going to hit you with this one because you're always good with the rules, although I think we could all explain this one. Mark Nisley, can a player go into the dugout to catch a foul ball? They lean in or fall in, but can they purposely go in?
Not before they catch the ball. They can't go into the dugout and catch the ball. Then it's just a foul ball. But if they catch it outside of the dugout and then fall into the dugout, it's an out. But if you fall either in the dugout or fall into the seats, the runners move up. So you get the out, but there is some penalty for completely falling out of play. So when you see players rush to help their teammate from falling in the dugout, first of all, it's to prevent injury, and second of all, to keep him on the field so there's no further advance. You want to know what I think about going from reliever to starter?
Yeah. What do you got?
Nothing.
All right. Then let's ask another. Evan Reed asking a question that I think we hear every week, and I can update some numbers too. What do the Royals plan on doing with Will Myers? And, you know, guys, I would still say we don't know for sure, and they may not know for sure based on opportunity. But the one thing that Ned Yost or that Dayton Moore has said all along is that the player has to be playing well. And actually, Will Myers has struggled some lately, starting to heat up again. And there has to be that opportunity, and there has to be that opening. I'll throw out a few numbers, and he had a big night the other night. Everybody on Omaha did a couple of nights ago. But before the All-Star break, 43 strikeouts in 48 games for AAA Omaha. Since the All-Star break, 42 strikeouts in 31 games. So I know they'd like for him to cut those strikeouts down. And, guys, there may not be a reason for them to call him up in September and add him to the 40-man when they don't have to. That'll be interesting to see if they do that.
And, Joel, we had a chance to visit with Rusty Kuntz when he was brought back to be the first base coach, and he had a chance to work with Will quite a bit, and he said that he's getting close, but he still doesn't feel like he's completely ready to play every day in the big leagues. Now,
if that opportunity presents itself, then maybe you have a different situation too. And I've had so many questions on this guy. One question came in, why not call young guys up like the Cubs have done? And I was sitting there and I was thinking, I get the point to that question, but look at this Royals roster, which is already very young, right? I mean, Perez is 22, Hosmer's 22, Moose is 23, Collins and Herrera are each 22. So this is a very young team to begin with.
You know, another thing, Joel, I'm looking at Eric Hosmer's number from last year, and you know, AAA, dominating at AAA isn't what it used to be. You know, Hosmer was hitting .439 when the Royals called him up from AAA last year, and he hit .293 in the big leagues. He had a very good year. He had 19 home runs, but just because Will Myers is doing that at AAA doesn't mean he's going to do it here. It also doesn't mean he won't do it here. I mean, who knows? Right. Some guys come up here and they end up, you know, playing their best baseball at a higher level, but it's, you know, Monty, when you were playing, that was a better measuring stick for a player, what he was doing at AAA and projecting what he'd do in the big leagues.
Right, because you had a lot more experience in the game and a lot more experience playing AAA baseball. With the turnover now, especially, I think the big jump now is the talent-wise. There's a lot of talent at AA baseball.
I had a chance to ask someone in the organization yesterday, and I've asked this question from time to time. Of the three big names, the three young guys in this system are at the big league levels, Hosmer, Moustakas, Myers, which one down the road do you think has the greatest big league career? And I asked it just because, you know, it has been a rough year for Hosmer, and without hesitation the answer was Hosmer still. And that's, you know, I mean, that's obviously something that could be debated, but everybody really believes Will Myers is going to be very good at the big league level. As we see the strikeout there. Hey, I wanted to pass on one more thing, guys, and I did get a question about it, but you know, Christian Colon, we pointed out earlier in the week, moved up to AAA, and there were some questions about could he be added or not, and he's not on the 40-man, but he got hurt last night, fouled a ball into his face, suffered fractures under his eye, and he's been placed on the disabled list. And I put in a text message to Mark Nasser, our good friend, the announcer, just to say, hey, is he out for the year? And he said, Mike Jerschley has not said he is necessarily out for the year, but this was not a good injury. I was told by someone else that the vision's good, everything's fine, but it sounds like a pretty nasty injury.
Well, and another thing we should point out, too, if he is out for the year, we're talking 2 weeks, because they only play 5 months.
That's right.
Thank you for Twitter Tuesday, Joel. A's are scoreless in the 6th. Royals with 13 home runs on their last road trip. That accounted for 65% of their runs. No home runs so far tonight, but they have a 5-0 lead as Weeks makes a play on Salvador Perez. Sal started that 5-run 5th inning with a leadoff walk, so he's 0 for 2 with a walk. Our Sonic Slam inning contestant is Kyle Lane from Independence, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Kyle wins $800. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Kyle wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. Jeff Francoeur doubled after the Perez walk last inning, and he scored. So Francoeur is 1 for 2. He had 8 hits on the last road trip with a home run, also walked 3 times. No balls, 2 strikes against lefty Jordan Norberto.
Norberto has the makeup of a situational lefty. A guy's going to come in and just maybe face a Mike Moustakas and exit the game, but he's the guy that the A's will go to for some length on the left side.
That's his 2nd strikeout. 2 down in the 6th. Let's answer our AT&T trivia question. I'm going to go with Chili Davis for one of them.
I'm going to default to George Brett.
2 Royals with 21 home runs in a season at Kauffman Stadium. Dean Palmer. And what would be his final year with the Royals, and then he got a big contract the next year's with the Detroit Tigers.
Probably could have sat here till midnight, even though I played with Dean Palmer and not gotten it right.
Well, and I never in a million years would have gotten Chili Davis, although I always default to who is in the house.
In the house.
A shattered bat. And Norberto restores some order as he gets the Royals in order in the 6th. But KC's way out in front, 5-0. Thoroughbred Ford. The best deals on new Fords are at thoroughbredford.com. And by AT&T Uverse, the new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. Jeremy Guthrie, after 8 scoreless innings on Wednesday at the White Sox, has 6 scoreless innings tonight, and he's allowed just 3 hits. 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, which is a winner, by the way, in the hot watch. 1 ball, 1 strike on Chris Carter, who has walked and struck out against Guthrie. And I don't know if Guthrie can top what he did on Wednesday at Chicago, but he's gotten a little better every time he's taken the mound for the Royals. We showed you earlier his first 2 starts were a bit shaky. and that includes July 27th at Seattle, but then 6 innings, 3 runs against Texas, a great offense, 8 scoreless innings against Chicago on Wednesday, and now 6 scoreless innings tonight.
Yeah, hard to tell how much of that is getting out of the Mile High City and pitching at that altitude, but his ERA on the road when he was pitching for the Rockies was only a 3.67 ERA, so pitched much better away from Coors Field. So maybe it has a lot to do with it, but certainly he's comfortable tonight.
That is his 7th strikeout. And now Brandon Moss, and Guthrie has struck him out twice. A payback for Moss's 2 long home runs against Guthrie back in June when Guthrie was pitching for the Rockies. 7 strikeouts, by the way, is a season high for Guthrie, surpassing 6, and that was his start on Wednesday against Chicago. His pitch count could get in the way tonight if he wants to go 8 or 9 innings. This next pitch will be his 96th. He hasn't had any real long innings as far as pitch count goes, but he also hasn't had a very quick inning.
Right, one thing I've noticed about Guthrie is his ability to pitch it down here. We're going to see the way that he really gets on top and really is almost straight over top, and he's pitching downhill, and I think that's been a key for him. I've seen him work out in the bullpen between starts with a towel. It's almost like he's going through his motion, making sure he kind of rips that towel down through the zone, and you see everything going downhill, and that very well could be an adjustment that he's made that's made a big difference for him.
Now he has 8 strikeouts, and he struck out 3 of the last 4, and he's given Brandon Moss the hat trick.
See where we're talking about getting right on top and almost coming straight down over top. Pitching downhill is such an important fact for a pitcher to be successful, because when they do make contact, they hit the top half of the ball. Going to get a lot of ground balls.
Now George Gutaris, he has flied to center and struck out. Gutaris sharing the catching duties with Derek Norris, who came over to the A's in an offseason trade from the Nationals. And Derek Norris has a local connection here. He is from Goddard, Kansas, just west of Wichita, and there's about 150 friends and family who have made the drive up to watch the Royals and the A's. And unfortunately for them, Derek is not in the starting lineup, but he is thrilled to be here. There he is warming up the pitchers in between innings. Big Royals fan, big Chiefs fan.
Sure, he's in heaven having the opportunity to play here in front of a lot of family.
3 balls and 1 strike on Gutaris.
The most difficult part about playing close by your home city is the pass list. Figuring out who gets tickets, who doesn't get tickets.
Very high into the right field corner, and hangs up for Francoeur and makes the play. Bumps up against the padding. 7 scoreless innings for Guthrie, and now 15 consecutive scoreless over his last 2 starts. reverse replays.
See Eric Hosmer here getting a little 3-1 pitch. He can drive. Driving in Salvador Perez. Chris Getz going to the warning track with the sac fly. Alex with a little knock to right field. Should it be a double play ball? Mel Wilkes playing back. And then Billy with another deep fly ball to center fielder, driving Alex Gordon.
And it appears that's it for Jeremy Guthrie tonight after 7 scoreless and 3 hits. His pitch count is over 100. And a Chevy call to the bullpen for the A's as Jerry Blevins, another one of the 4 lefties in the A's bullpen, takes over in the bottom of the 7th with Lorenzo Cain, Chris Getz, and Alex Gordon coming up. Royals scored all 5 of their runs off of Parker, who didn't make it through the 5th. One of the runs allowed was unearned, and Jordan Norberto pitched an inning in the 3rd. And now Blevins in the 7th. Lorenzo Cain walked and scored in that 5-run 5th. He struck out in the 3rd, and now 1 ball, 1 strike against Blevins.
This is the reason Lorenzo Cain is batting in the number 8 slot tonight, because the A's having 4 lefties and Blevins being the 2nd one coming out of the bullpen already tonight. He's really more of a situational left-hander for the Oakland A's, but tonight looks like he's going to maybe be asked to go a little more than just a couple of hitters.
Reddick over from right field to make the play on Cain. 1 down in the 7th. Well, parents, you can still sign your kids up for Sluggers Blue Crew, presented by U.S. Toy. Members receive a batting practice jersey, a backpack, water bottle, ticket vouchers, front of the line access for every Sunday fun run, and much more for just $20. You can join now at Royals.com/Blue Crew, or you can stop by the U.S. Toy Store in Leawood. Chris Getz is grounded out, and he has a sacrifice fly. Two balls, no strikes. Two and one.
Blevins doesn't throw overly hard. He's going to be in the 90 to 92 range. Does have a good swooping breaking ball against left-handed batters.
Two balls, 2 strikes. First drafted by the Cubs out of the University of Dayton, and then traded from the Cubs to the A's, and a deal for Jason Kendall, who is still in the Royals organization after retiring as a player recently. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Jason Kendall was on the field before the game today, hitting ground balls to the infielders and catching up with some people connected to the A's and reminiscing on his days playing for them. And there he is, up watching the game tonight. Not quite sure exactly what he wants to do, but he wants to stay in the game, and he has moved his family from Southern California to Kansas City and getting his kids set for school in the KC area. Getz goes the other way for his first hit tonight. He is 1 for 2.
Blevins going to get the ball up and out over the plate for Chris Getz, and just serve the ball in left field for a base hit. Pitcher gets the ball up for the batter. He's done half his job for him. And here we see Getz finish it off. Little line drive to left.
And now Blevins gets another left-hand batter, and Alex Gordon, who takes a strike. Alex broke his bat, but drove in a run with a single in the 5th inning. And then he came around to score. He's 1 for 3. Leading the Royals with 136 hits, which is the 6th most in the American League.
A lot of people probably would have found that hard to believe with the struggles that Alex had early in the season, but certainly, especially since being in the leadoff slot, has answered the bell.
One ball, one strike. Alex at the moment is hitting .294. It was exactly 2 months ago today when he was hitting .247. 2-1. So he went from June 14th to July 14th and added 30 points to his average, 247 to 277, and now from 277 to 294, and that gets harder to do the more at bats a hitter gets.
Takes a lot of multi-hit games.
And Alex has 42 of those. Coco Crisp into left center field. That's the second out, and Chris Getz is back to first base. The A's had planned to have Yoenis Cespedes playing center field in his first year in the big leagues, and Coco Crisp was going to move from center field over to left. As it turns out, the A's want Crisp in center, and Cespedes, who has always played center field, is still adjusting to one of the corner outfield positions. You know, normally your best defensive outfielder is your center fielder, and there's this feeling that, well, if he's that good, you can shift him over to the corners and the transition will be seamless. Not exactly.
Didn't seem to work that way.
Hit balls hooking and slicing off the bat that you don't see in center field. Pennington to second. The force on Getz. So Escobar is 2 for 4 tonight. We played 7. The Royals lead the A's 5-0.
Around the league, Baltimore just seems to own Boston this year. Yankees shut out Texas. Possible down the road playoff matchup there. Chicago won better than Toronto behind Jose Quintana. We see some of the other scores from around the league. Detroit on top right now. Minnesota 6-4. Cleveland against Zach Greinke and the Angels just underway. Tampa and Seattle in just a little while. I don't know if you guys saw that news with the Red Sox today. The fiasco continues there with all the Bobby Valentine stuff.
Yeah. Get to that in a moment. Jeremy Guthrie, 7 scoreless innings, 3 hits. So 15 consecutive scoreless innings over his last 2 starts on just 8 hits allowed, 2 walks, 14 strikeouts.
Well, I think he's given us a glimpse of why he was a perennial 200 inning guy in the big leagues. Really seemed to command the ball well, mixing his stuff really well. Complete package in his last 2 starts.
Now getting back to Joel's point, and we'll see the Red Sox during the next road trip. And boy, that really seems to be a mess. Bobby Valentine's first year with the Red Sox, and now report of players actually going to the owners and saying they want him out of there. And players who have some juice, you know what I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about the kind that's injected.
Well, and if you go
kind
back,
that can be injected into a front office if they speak up.
Go back to spring training, you think about all the controversy and things going on about what had gone on in the clubhouse last year with the Red Sox, and Bobby V really didn't make any friends early on in his tenure as a manager.
And then he questioned Kevin Youkilis, who's a fan favorite and a favorite in the clubhouse, whether he had enough emotional intensity.
You know, Ryan, the report which came from Jeff Passan of Yahoo as Tim Collins starts out with the strikeout there. The report with multiple sources in it said that the texting to owners complaining about Bobby Valentine came from guys that are really highly regarded as high-class guys like Dustin Pedroia and Adrian Gonzalez. These aren't typically guys that are known as malcontents, and Kevin Youkilis, highly respected, didn't get along with Bobby Valentine, and he's now in Chicago, and then apparently after this, a huge meeting at a hotel in New York with ownership and a number of players. I mean, it's a soap opera there every single day.
And the Red Sox are in 4th place in the East, and they're below 500. They're 11.5 games out. At least they were going into tonight. The Yankees have won, so, and the Red Sox lost, so they're 12.5 games back.
Apparently some players upset with John Lester recently when he was struggling, being left in by Bobby Valentine in an 11-run game, or a game that he gave up 11 runs, which typically is something that you probably wouldn't put a veteran guy in a position like that.
What did he get, Joel? Why don't you look that up? Did he get a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal?
I can tell you it won't last however many it is. I'll look it up for you. And oh, by the way, they have a big payroll. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Apparently Terry Francona wasn't such a bad manager after all. Pennington has flied to left twice, and that drops his batting average down to 202. And now he looks at a curve. So Collins has faced 2 and struck out 2.
Tim Collins, a nice job dropping in, a little backdoor hammer on him. Good to see that curveball back for Tim Collins.
Joel has done some exhaustive research.
Yeah, I pushed a couple of buttons, and here we go. Through 2013 on Bobby Valentine, and oh, by the way, their opening day payroll was $175 million.
Whoa. So just a 2-year contract this year and next year.
Does he make it into next year?
Well, I don't know.
Does he make it through this year?
I mean, it's you guys know this, and I think it's different even than New York with different teams and so many pro teams in New York, the Mets, the Yankees, and what else is going on there. In Boston, it is everything. I mean, it reminds me of football in Green Bay, where 24/7. I mean, look at the television coverage that they get up there every single day with the Red Sox, nonstop.
That was a big strikeout for Tim Collins. That gives him 76. So he ties Andrew Sisco from 2005 with Most strikeouts by a Royals lefty reliever. And now he has the record. 77 strikeouts for Collins, 3 in this inning. 8 scoreless innings for the Royals. A commanding 5-0 lead. Thankful that you're with us tonight. If you happen to be out of the market and traveling before the season concludes, just subscribe to MLB.tv and you'll see every Royals out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Just visit Royals.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. This is Evan Scribner. He becomes the 4th A's pitcher tonight. He'll get Billy Butler, Mike Moustakas, and Salvador Perez.
Scribner doesn't throw hard. He's going to throw across his body a lot. Think Lewis Coleman stepping toward third and across his body.
Billy tonight 0 for 2. He drove in a run in the Royals' 5-run fifth. So the Royals scored all of their runs in the 1 inning. And a big breaking curveball is low. 2 balls and no strikes. Billy now with 24 home runs. The Royals record is still 36, set by Steve Balboni in 1985. And Billy is the subject of our Sprint You Call It question for tonight, asking you, how many home runs will Billy hit? Do you think he will surpass the record? Will he go 27 to 30? That's A. 31 to 34? That's B. Or 35 to 38? That is C. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals, a space, and then A, B, or C. Billy strikes out, so Scribner with a fastball at 91. It's the first out of the 8th inning.
And he doesn't throw overly hard, but he's got that deception in his delivery. Makes that 90-91 look more like 95-96.
Mike Moustakas 0 for 3 tonight with a couple of strikeouts. Scribner is in with strike 1. The A's tonight have used 3 pitchers, 3 out of the 4 who have come up through the Arizona Diamondbacks organization. Greg Holland getting ready for the 9th in a non-save situation. Jared Parker, the starter, came over in the trade. that involved Trevor Cahill. Jordan Norberto came over from the Diamondbacks in another trade. And now Moustakas strikes out for the third time tonight, and that's 2 for Scribner. Scribner first in Arizona's minor league system, a 28th round draft pick. He signed for a grand total of $1,000 in 2007 out of Central Connecticut State. Ended up in the Padres organization, and the A's claimed him off of waivers from the Padres, and that's been a good find for the A's. He's had a nice year, and Scribner is pitching in his 15th game, but an ERA of about 1.5.
Real key for him is only 3 walks on the year in those 15 games.
1 ball, 1 strike. Stays back on the curve and pulls it on the ground to Pennington. So we go to the 9th. Greg Holland will be coming in. Royals are 3 outs away from taking game 1 for the A's with a 5-0 lead.
Boulevard Royals Live. Jeff Montgomery will move into the closer's role and break this one down. How about Jeremy Guthrie? 15 straight scoreless innings now for the starter. We'll tell you why he was so good. Take a look back at that very productive 5th inning where the Royals batted around, and preview tomorrow's matchup. Brandon McCarthy. The Royals know how good he can be taking on Will Smith, the rookie lefty. That and more coming up on Boulevard Royals Live. Ryan?
All right, thank you, Joel. And Monty's ready to go. He's got his pre-game and post-game shirt on.
Closer's attire.
Yeah, I mean, you start the evening like this, and then you come in and you change clothes and do a shirt and tie, and then you're back into this again for the pre and the post-game.
That's why we have the old-fashioned phone booth back here.
Yeah, and I tell you, he's in and out of that phone booth. That would make Superman blush. Maybe Joel could wear a shirt and tie and you wouldn't have to change clothes. I don't know. Just a thought. So here's Greg Holland. The Royals are 3-3 against the A's this year. And in their 3 wins, they have shut out the A's. And now they're trying to make it 4. So Jeremy Guthrie, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Tim Collins, 1 inning, 3 strikeouts. And now Holland will get Jemile Weeks, Josh Reddick, and Yoenis Cespedes, no balls, 2 strikes. Royals have really pitched the A's well this year. The A's batting just 188 against the Royals. That was before tonight, and now they have just 3 hits in 8 innings.
If Greg Holland is able to hold on with a 0 in the 9th inning, it'll be the 3rd shutout thrown against the A's in 4 games here at Kauffman Stadium.
Royals are going for their 9th shutout of the year. That would tie them with the A's for 3rd in the league. The A's have really increased their power, and we were talking about the home runs early in the game. They already have more home runs now than they did in 2010 or 2011. But they pay the price many times for those big swings. They've struck out 11 times tonight, and they have struck out the most of any American League team. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Holland to Jemile Weeks. Guthrie struck out 8. That's a season high for him. And Collins struck out 3. And Collins hanging around to see the final 3 outs. Still 1-2.
I was talking to Greg Holland about pitching in non-save situations, and a lot like I remember, oftentimes hard to get yourself to throw the breaking ball as frequently as you normally would in a save situation, but it's good to see Greg Holland here going to all of his pitches in this situation.
Three and two. Right to Escobar. Weeks running hard up the line, but he's out. He's 1 for 4, 1 down in the 9th inning. Another look at our Sprint You Call It question for tonight. How many home runs do you think Billy Butler is going to hit? And the majority believes that he will stay away from Steve Alboni's team record of 36, and he'll be somewhere in the range of 31 to 34. That's what I was going to guess.
That would have been my bet as well. Safe bet.
Fouled away by Reddick. Billy tonight was 0 for 3, but he drove in a run with a sacrifice fly. His 74th of the year after a 4 home run road trip, which included 7 runs scored and 7 RBIs. Oh, and 2. The A's got Reddick from the Boston Red Sox in a deal that sent Andrew Bailey, former American League Rookie of the Year, to Boston, and then he was hurt in spring training. He had to have surgery on a thumb, and he hasn't pitched yet for the Red Sox.
Yeah, I believe he's just getting ready to come off the disabled list.
That is strikeout number 12 for Royals pitching tonight, and 2 down in the 9th inning.
Greg Holland finishes with the slider down out of the strike zone. Big situation maybe for a fastball, but Holland goes with the slider instead. Reddick way out in front and over top of it. Reddick not real happy. He said, look at that scoreboard. It's 5-0 out there. You got to give me a fastball. And that's a trap that a lot of times closers fall into in situations like this. Is getting fastball happy and they get beat around a little bit.
And now Yoenis Cespedes. Down and in ball one. Royals lost 2 out of 3 in Oakland during the very first road trip. That was that crazy game that ended with a walk-off hit batter. That's how the series ended right before the Royals came home. And then the Royals took 2 out of 3 from the A's here in June. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the A's were really struggling at that point. They were just coming off a 9-game losing streak, which seemed to send their season down the drain. But that record that Bob Melvin's team has had since July 1st, 24-11, the best in the major leagues. They went from 13 games back on July 1st to at one point 3.5 games back of the Rangers. Tonight they are 6 games behind Texas, and they're down to their last strike.
The A's were hopeful to make up some ground here with a stretch of 9 games against the 3 worst teams in the AL Central, starting here with Kansas City, and really hopeful to make up some ground. And they're not starting the road trip off the way they had hoped, or the series.
Started this trip off by losing 2 out of 3 at Chicago, and like the Royals, the A's had an off day yesterday. Tonight, so far, they have been held to 3 hits. Francoeur comes up in right field, and it is a 3-hit shutout. Guthrie, Collins, and Holland. And at the plate, the Royals come up with 5 runs. They did not score in the first inning, which they've been doing a lot of. They didn't score in the first 3 innings, which they've been doing a lot of. They did not hit a home run, which they did all throughout the road trip. But they batted 9 in the 5th inning. They scored 5, and that was more than enough, as Jeremy Guthrie goes another 7 scoreless innings, so 15 in his last 2 starts. And Collins and Holland finish the A's off. So a good start.